Now I'm actually going to go back and record through Zoom, just in case, as our fail-safe.
Okay. Always good to have a fail-safe.
It is. So I've learned that.
Because technology.
So welcome to all of you to Monday Whispers Chat. And I first want to be able to acknowledge my friend Lori, who has shared her space in North Bay, because I had to travel here for a different meeting and an impromptu meeting. And so I've had to travel here. So she's actually given me her space. So this is where I'm calling in from today. So thank you, Lori. For any of you who are catching the replay, #replay, and Ashley and I would love to be able to give you guys some answer your questions, help direct you to wherever it is that you want to go. And so for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Rollie Allaire, and I am with Bridging the Gap Wellness. And Bridging the Gap Wellness is all about creating a holistic life and finding balance. And so every week I am featuring an amazing and inspiring women. And so Ashley has come across my path, and I'm super excited to be able to share Ashley. So Ashley's is going to be sharing about self-exploration of fear and resistance. So Ashley Shapiro is an intuitive life and creativity coach on a mission to support you in coming into alignment with all what you truly desire, claiming your full creative potential, and taking action on creating the life and impact of your wildest dreams. So in the pursuit of happiness and a purpose-filled life, you have to be willing to weave in and out of your comfort zones and on a regular basis, which is inevitably means being met with resistance, which is usually either fear or misalignment. So Ashley's actually going to share a short self-exploration process that can actually help you navigate through the resistance. And in the case of fear-based experimenting with using fear as fuel to propel you forward towards what you truly desire. So on this note, I'm going to give Ashley the opportunity to share a little bit more about yourself while I pull up the Facebook page.
Awesome. Hi, I'm so excited to be here with Rollie today. This is actually my first guest spot on a podcast, so I'm super stoked. Making connection and collaboration to me is the best part about this like entrepreneurial experience, especially in the more like soulpreneur, creativepreneur space. It really just brings such a great vibe to be able to connect with others. So I'm super excited and grateful to be here today. So I'm actually, it's actually evening time here. I'm very grateful to Rollie for switching up the time. And I live in Israel, and I've been living here for almost 8 years. I moved here, moving here was really the first time in my adult life that I listened to my soul's calling, and I'm so grateful that I did. My life has just shifted in so many beautiful ways, and I got my master's in art therapy since I've been here. I've become a mama since I've been here. I've learned a whole new language since I've been here. So there's been a lot of, looking fear in the eye and going forward anyway. Not that I always go forward. Sometimes, because I'm human, fear is paralyzing. But this theme of working with resistance and not allowing it to be like this, scary, hairy demon, has really changed my life. In fact, I saw a quote today that I really resonated with me. It's from Robin Sharma. And she said, the beautiful thing about fear is when you run to it, it runs away. And I just think that that's so true. Before we really dive into the process that Rollie kind of introduced, I would love to just start with a little personal anecdote of an experience that I've had just in the last week or so. There was a story of mine from my childhood. I had an accident when I was 10 years old, and it kept coming up for me. Like in the last couple weeks of 2018, it was kind of a tumultuous time energetically for me. And I think other people were experiencing that as well. And I realized that it was this massive fear of rejection that was coming up for me. And it definitely has something to do with, being in the online entrepreneurial space. I'm sure Rollie can attest to that, especially in the beginning when you are trying to, build a community and really reach out and build your audience. Like that rejection can really get you. And so this story of when I was 10 years old and I fell through a glass door kept coming up for me. And I actually, in a meditation a few weeks ago, met my 10-year-old self and had this really beautiful experience with her, and really just showing her compassion and love and grace, and it was just a really beautiful thing. But then following that meditation, that was when the kind of tumultuous time came out, and I realized that the fear and all of that energy that was stored inside from that trauma, that pain, that physical trauma and also emotional trauma that I experienced, it was coming out. And the way that I sort of visualized it was almost like spiraling up and out, like it was really calling to be released. And so I finally, I kept starting and stopping writing the story, and I finally wrote it and I finally shared it. And the response was humbling and touching, and it was received with so much love from others. And not pushing past, but seeing that I was scared of it, but doing it anyway. I mean, it really created this magical alchemy, and it's been lifted off of my heart. And I'm just so grateful to be doing this, this inner work for myself and sharing it with others, because I truly believe that this is the way that we grow, and this is the way that we learn about ourselves and discover ourselves. And it's just a beautiful thing. So, yeah.
So that is so wonderful. And I love that story. That is, and it really fits with a lot of what a lot of us actually experience, right? So even though your story may be different than someone else's, your story is still very similar to what others. So I just want to be able to acknowledge the people who are actually online with us. So, and if you are actually online, say hello so that we actually know that you're here. And so I want to acknowledge Nikki and Rita are both on. So Rita says, good afternoon, ladies. And Nikki says, exciting, hello, and how cool. So at what point she thought it was how cool, I'm not sure. And Lori is actually here in North Bay, where I am actually located today. And so Lori's joining us. So hi, Lori. And so, and then Nikki has another comment that I can't seem to see. But I will try and keep track of the comments as best as we can as we're actually going through. So if you guys have any questions, then feel free to let us know. And oh, there you go. So Nikki, actually her comment just popped up. So Nikki says that she has met her inner child recently too. And so, and she's also saying hi to Rita. So wonderful.
Beautiful.
This is awesome. So, so tell me a little bit about what kind of things do you actually do with your clients? So what kind of things, so obviously fear-based is something that you're actually connected with, but what are some of the things specifically that you are doing when you're actually working with your clients? Yeah,
we do a lot of, I have the process that I use is I like 3 E's. So we go through an exploration process in the beginning. And, every client is different, and I do run a couple of different, I have different services for different people. So some of it is more on the life coaching side. And so, and some of it is more on, I have an idea incubator, which I'm going to be relaunching, and that's more on the creator side. But I think everyone in general needs to go through this exploration process. And so it's kind of twofold. The first part of it is exploring within really connecting in with yourself, which I love to do through different forms of self-expression, which look different for everyone because everyone connects to self-expression in a different way. So writing, definitely storytelling is a huge one. I love, for me, maybe I'll talk more about, the kinds of self-expression that I love. I love using dance and movement. I love using music. Sound healing is beautiful. In the future, I would really like to go into maybe like writing power songs and things like that. Sandra Ingerman talks about that, the power of that. Especially, I love using color, like color therapy is beautiful. And I think this all really comes from the art therapy that I studied. Something really special unlocked when I studied that. And Natalie Rogers talks about the creative connection and, in the artist's way, it talks about how creativity is really a spiritual path. And I truly believe in that. And so in this process of self-exploration, so many things come up, and not only do we really discover who we truly are and how our soul wants to express itself, but we also uncover the things that are holding us back. And so then we move into experimenting, which is the second E, experimenting with, I'm sorry, my cat is on the couch. It's sort of making me a little, oh, anyway.
For those of us who have pets, understand that completely.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. Watson. He's not gonna. We had steak for dinner, so he's licking the plates clean. Sorry about that. We move into the second E. My mom is on, and she's definitely laughing right now.
Hi, Mom.
Which is experimentation, and I love this part of the process because we experiment with lots of different things, but a lot of it is experimenting with being able to flip what's been holding you back into, fuel to move you forward, experimenting with new kinds of self-expression that maybe my clients haven't tried before in order to just unlock new avenues. Being in the experimental space is really special because you really can't mess it up. Like, you really can't go wrong when you're experimenting. Failure is awesome when you're experimenting because that's how you learn, that's how you readjust and shift and, move things forward. And I think also when you're in this experimental space, there's also just a beautiful transmutation of energy that is happening. And energy work is something that I know that I'm called for. It's something that I'm really learning. It's a modality that I'm still growing in, but it's definitely infused in this experimental space. It's really activating, like that's one of my superpowers, is activating energy. And also in this space, we're also generating and still exploring. Everything kind of intermeshes together, but we're like generating ideas and playing with, just bringing new energy into your life, creating new habits, trying new things in order to really catalyze the change and the transformation that you desire. So, a lot of the people that I've worked with, a lot of, the people in my community are feeling maybe uninspired by life or uninspired in their work, or maybe they're feeling burnt out, or, maybe they're feeling like they don't trust in themselves and in their intuition, or, they just, I love working with mamas, and a lot of times when we become a mom, we are so focused on our children, which is a beautiful thing, but we kind of lose ourselves, right? Like, and what I like to think of it as is almost going into this beautiful chrysalis, and then being able to reemerge as this fully lived expression of ourselves. And so that's when we get into the third E of the process, which is expression. And my goal with everyone that I work with everyone that I come in contact with and speak to, even if I'm just talking to friends, is really to give them permission to be living in the fullest expression of themselves, to be finding the playfulness in life. Life isn't easy, right? We have these ups and downs. And when when our status quo is living as who we truly are, the downs don't feel so sticky. You know what I mean? Like you're able to kind of rebound faster.
Yeah.
And I've learned a lot of that, with personal experience. When I was younger, even through college, even through, even after I moved here to Israel, and still on occasion, but I have dealt with a lot of depression. And it was a experience that I would stay in for too long. I would stay in that sort of depression spiral for too long. And now when I'm, going through something that's more difficult, I have these tools, I have these, ways that I can get myself out of that energy space. And so that's a lot of what I try to give to the people that I'm working with is the tools to be able to get themselves, back to where they want to be. And it really looks different for everyone. That's what I love about doing this work. That's what I love about coming at it from a creativity perspective. And also allowing people to redefine what creativity is. Creativity isn't just reserved for, the artists and, the musicians, and everyone is creating every moment of their lives. And so why not create an epic, impactful life that feels like you, like truly you, not with the mask on or the many masks. So yeah, I think that answers the question. the work that I'm doing.
And that is so true. So like I have 3 sisters, but I have one sister who has her creative brain is just amazing. And it amazes me every time. And for a long time I would say, oh, well, I'm not creative. My sister is. I'm not creative. My sister is. But my creativity is different than hers. And so one of the things that she had said to me the one day I was actually coming up with a new program or doing something different. And my sister's like, wow, you're so creative. And I'm like, really? Like, you're the artist. Like, this is the girl who we can actually go for a walk and find driftwood. She's like, she does her driftwood shopping on the side of the lake. She's like, so do you want to come driftwood shopping with me? And I'm like, okay, well, sure, I'll do that. I only did it once and I'll probably never do it again because all I see is sticks. I see sticks, and then she brings them to life, and it's like, oh, it just amazes me. But that is the way that her creative brain works, whereas my creative brain works with being able to deal with people and coming up with ways of being able to get people together and sharing those experiences. And so that is, so it's just so amazing how the way that we actually see creativity, right? So. So Nikki actually says, she actually quoted you, failure is awesome, Shapiro 2019.
Thanks, Nikki.
Nikki says, that reminds me of an event that I went to last year where we were told to celebrate our failures by cheering as a group when something went wrong. And that was really fun. And that is so true. Trampoline, not tar, is another thing that Nikki says. And
ooh, I like that. Apex talks about that too. Yeah, I like that.
And I'm assuming now that I know that that your mom is on, that Rita is actually your mom. So, so Rita says creativity does come in all shapes and sizes. And so like that is so true. It is just so amazing how when we can actually allow ourselves to be able to live through these 3 E's that you actually shared. And I'm going to have to come back on the replay so that I can actually take some notes on some of the points that you actually shared about those 3 E's, because those are amazing, of being able to really help people see how to be able to connect with different parts of ourselves and being able to find those ways that actually work for us. And so I don't take a cookie cutter approach with my clients either, because it is always so different. Hi, Angela. It is so different as to the way that we actually, like each person is going to have their own different experiences, and what's coming forward for them is going to be so much different than what is going to work for someone else. And so one of the things that I often say in my own life is to take what you need and leave the rest. And I use that statement all the time. And that is because and so even if I've taken a training on a certain thing, when I actually go back and redo that training, because I often will do that, is actually retake a training that I've already participated in, because I actually take something different the next time because of where I'm at this moment in my life and with my experiences that I've actually had. So it's just because like you said, it's that experiment. Life is all about experimenting.
Yeah.
So, and that is extremely, extremely important. So one of the, so your topic is using fear as a signpost. So what do you mean by that?
So I've realized, well, first of all, sometimes fear is keeping us from something that's going to endanger us, that's going to harm us. And so then fear is a great thing, right? If your gut knows that there's a bear around the corner, you know what I mean? If it's keeping you from some kind of, harm or trauma, obviously fear is a really good tool.
Yeah. Really important.
Yeah, to be aware of. But, when we are in the process of personal growth or spiritual growth, or trying new things, resistance is always bound to come up. When we are, like you said in the introduction, in the pursuit of a purpose-filled life, you are bound to meet with resistance, meet with things that make you uncomfortable. And so it can be one of two things. It's either something's out of alignment or it's fear. And what I've realized, and this came through a divine download. What I realized through this divine download was that fear can really point you on the path of where you are meant to go. If you receive this brilliant idea for a new book you want to write, or a new program you want to run, or gosh, I don't know, a place you want to travel, a place you want to move, something like that. And you're lit up and buzzing about the idea immediately when it happens. But then all of a sudden you start talking yourself out of it, and it starts to feel really scary. And you're like, holy shit, I can't go there. That's fear. And that fear is a blaring sign saying you need to do this. You need to get uncomfortable. You need to keep going. You don't need to even push past the fear. You have the opportunity now to transmute the fear, to shift the fear into fuel to propel you forward on your path. So, for me, with the example I gave earlier of sharing that story, just to share a little bit more, the story was, I fell through this glass door and I had this huge scar on my face as a 10-year-old girl going back to school, at a time when puberty is almost kicking in. And I realized kids were talking about me, and it was a really traumatic experience physically and emotionally. And when I knew that it was time for me to share this story, I was like, I don't know if I can. Are people going to judge me? Are they going to, not want to talk to me anymore? I don't know. It was just a scary thing. And I realized that fear was all BS, and it was really time to go for it. And so what I did, and I would love to talk more about the whole process, but what I did is I wrote out what I was afraid of. And I do this on a regular basis because mindset work has changed my life, among other things. But I wrote out what I was afraid of, and then I flipped it, so if the fear was, I'm going to share this story and I'm going to lose friends, then, flipping it was, I'm going to share this story and I'm going to receive love and compassion. And, and then repeating that to myself and reaffirming that to myself, helped me inch towards finally sharing it and catalyzing this healing. So, I think that's really what it's all about. Fear as this sign saying, go here now. You need to go here now. It's illuminating your path, really.
Yeah. And that is so true, right? So it is that because we talk ourselves out of it. But when we've got that instinct of trusting our gut, right? So our gut saying yes, right? So our gut saying yes, do this, or but it can also work sense of our gut that says, no, don't do that, right? So like just really important for us to be able to listen to that instinctive response that we actually have in that gut, and that because we can actually talk ourselves into doing something that is really not in our best interest or in our highest good as well, right? So it's like just being able to trust ourselves and using that intuition on both sides of the spectrum, right? So those signs are there, it's big, it's huge, and it's just really important for us to be able to listen to that. And so so just to kind of go back, so hi Mimi is actually on as well. So Nikki says that sounds really cool to consider retaking training, and that I've done that so many times, talk myself out of opportunities even though I'm not sure that it'll actually be negative. And so the other thing that Nikki does is, oh, that makes so much sense and I should do that, writing it out and flipping the script. And so I love that technique. And so like definitely I always get people to do like the pros and cons list. And so rather than doing the pros and cons list, make the list and then flipping it. So like that's actually, that's incredible. I really like that tool.
Yeah, it's like this, it's this choice that you can make to say, okay, I see you, fear. I see you. And thank you for being there for me. Like, thank you for giving me this opportunity to really like, look within. And this is part of the inner work. You talked about trust. And I think that this is a huge part of it. I posted the other day, what would your life look like if you always listened to divine inspiration? Right? Because we're getting like inspiration all the time. We're getting great ideas all the time. And someone said, well, how do I do that? And so first of all, it's something that you can just make the choice to start doing today, right? But it takes time to really hear that inner voice louder. And I think it's all about trust. It's all about, going for it and experimenting with it and building that trust in yourself. The gut is our second brain. I was just reading about this the other day, and I think that it's just such a magical thing that we have. It's this amazing tool that's inside of ourselves. And I really like what you talked about, that, sometimes we can be afraid of something and go for it anyway, and it wasn't the right thing for us. And I think that that's where the trust really comes in, like when we feel that resistance and asking ourselves, like, is this out of alignment? And I can go into the process a little bit right now, but, some of the questions that I like to journal, I love to write, and writing isn't for everyone. But, some questions to think about or journal about, if it's feeling like something is out of alignment, what's feeling out of alignment right now? What isn't feeling right here? And then the next question is, what would make this feel like a full body yes? And if the answer is nothing, then move on.
Yeah.
And give thanks for having the power to make this choice for yourself. And then you can even say out loud, I open myself to inspiration and guidance for the best way to move forward. Every choice isn't always the right one, but it's great to know, where you want to go. It's great to be able to know that you have the choice to do this, inner process with yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. So Nikki says, oh no, we already read that one. So Rita says, we need to hit that fear on the head and knock it out of the way. And absolutely. And it kind of, and I know that we're looking at that positive, but one of the things that I want to be able to reinforce with people is that importance of being able to trust that instinct of something that isn't right for us. Like you said, if it doesn't give you that full body yes, then move on. Because if we don't, then we end up struggling with being able to trusting ourselves. And if we can actually teach our young women, like our young girls, from a very young age, of being able to trust that instinct of being able to, like, yes, this is it. Yes. Or yes, I'm really excited. And it's like, yeah, no, it's not quite as exciting as I thought that it was. And being able to make that choice to be able to move on and doing those kinds of things allows us to be able to trust ourselves, right? So being able to be okay with our own skin. And if we can actually teach women, other women, to be able to do that from a very young age, it just gives us that, it helps them to be empowered, right? So it really helps to empower them to be able to go through. So Nikki says, I think my biggest fear is trusting that instinct despite the negative Nancy in my head. So, so exactly doing that, getting out of our head and into our gut or into our heart, right? So like those are the two places that people will, I usually say gut, just because of that's where our sacral chakra is. So I usually typically go back into the gut, but others will actually say going into your heart, right? So bringing it forward into your heart and being able to just trust and like you said, experiment. Right? Yeah. If it doesn't work, try something different, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that is what it is that we're supposed to be doing, but with a tweak. And without trying it, you're never going to know.
Exactly. And what I would say to Nikki is, first of all, you are not alone. Everyone has got that inner critic, that inner negative Nancy, and, sometimes she loud, right? But I think something that has really helped me with this inner critic is, and also, people that I've worked with, is knowing that she's there, or whatever, that it's there to protect you. Right? It's not there to, and this is just, you can choose to take this perspective. You don't have to take this perspective, but I think that it can be a really beautiful thing. Something that I actually, in The Artist's Way, Julia Cameron talks about this, about, this inner critic and giving it like a physical identity almost. But the perspective that I really like to take is, thank you for giving me that perspective. I super appreciate that you're trying to protect me, but you know what? I just don't agree with you right now. Like I appreciate that you're there. That part of you is there not to sabotage. We feel like we have this inner saboteur, and if you allow it to sabotage you, sure, then you're making that choice. But I think that it is also possible to either write out what this inner critic, this negative Nancy is telling you, and then flip it for yourself into the truth, right? But I think that when we sort of give gratitude to all of the parts of ourselves, even the shadow parts, even the parts that, have the ability to allow us to kind of be pulled into the darkness, I think that when we give gratitude to it, when we give, bring awareness to it, it gives us the possibility to change it, to shift it. And, sorry, I'm going to get a little big picture on, right now, because it's something that I've been thinking about a lot. But, this year, so many incredible, beautiful things are already in motion and happening. And, someone that I follow on Instagram was talking about how, like, this is the year of no more excuses. Like, this is the year. And I don't mean this in a, you have to push way, but this is the year that, like, the world cannot wait any longer for your unique magic. And this is the message, like, keep working with that inner critic and showing it gratitude and bringing it awareness, and then just, taking like the next path over and keep going on your path of purpose, and don't allow it to stop you. Show yourself compassion and grace if it slows you down, because that's okay. That's part of the human existence. But, we just can't wait any longer for the impact that you are meant to make on the world. And this is the message that I just keep sharing over and over again, because I really believe it to be true. And yeah. Yeah.
So, and that is so insightful. And so I want to acknowledge Tracy has just hopped on. So hi, Trace. And Rita says, as a more mature young girl, it would have been awesome to have someone share with me how to, as Ashley said, illuminate your path. And you're so right. Like, that is something that we really need to be able to have those connections with other women that allows us to be able to do that. And then Rita also says, what I mean is that I would have more of the instinct to trust and believe in myself. And that is so true. And then Nikki says, yes, get the big picture. So like, just really important for us to be able to get that good big picture. And that is one of the reasons why I do Monday Whispers Chat, is because we have inspiring women like Ashley and others that have already been on and that are or to come, that have that a different viewpoint, have a different way of being able to see, because what is right for you may not be right for someone else, but may be right for the next person, right? So just being able to have those different viewpoints and being able to have that support, but the biggest part is having that support and that connection with each other it's important. And one of the things that we have gotten away from in our way of life is that connection with other women. Women used to congregate together on a monthly basis as part of their culture, and we've steered away from that. I think that over the last couple of years, or at least my experience has been, that there's more of that communion, more women coming together and working with each other and supporting each other has been more in the last few years, but it is still something that is still people are still unsure of. And then you've got the a bad experience perhaps that then shuts everybody back down again. And it's just really important for us to be able to say, okay, so that one wasn't the right fit for us. So let's find one that is, and find those connections with other women that will allow us to be able to support each other and uplift each other, and just really give us that ability of being able to help support us when we're actually making those decisions and supporting each other through those stages and those steps. That gives us that perspective, right? So the perspectives are different. And so what's really good for me is not necessarily what's really good for my three sisters, right? So we all have our different personalities. We all have our different experiences. We all have our different personalities. And so even though we come from a family of 4, it doesn't mean that everything that I like or that they like, and being able to have those experiences is really important for us to be able to have those different niches, those different connections, those different women. And so I'm not sure what it is that one of us said, but your mom's saying yes, 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 and I love this. So I'll have to go back on the replay and see if we can catch what she was actually referring to. And Tracy says, it's good to hear an alternative perspective and know that each is okay. It allows us to be more accepting of our own perspectives and beliefs. And that is so true.
Yeah. 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 I love what you're saying. I created a vision board this year. In fact, I did a workshop around it. And one of the photos that I have is this artist rendering of a group of women sitting around in this sisterhood circle. And it's just, I get full body chills when you're talking about this, because it is so in alignment. And I really think that it is this fear that you were talking about that keeps us women from going for that connection, right? So whether it's, past relationships or past communities where there was a negative experience, it creates these fear-based choices of not trying it again, or, saying no to an opportunity for connection because you're afraid of, what might happen, because, and this is what, the science of fear is it is based in our past experiences. And it might not even be based in past experiences in this lifetime, right? It can go back. And I totally wholeheartedly agree with the beauty and the importance of women connecting again with each other. And I think it's been a past societal paradigm that's been put on us that we have to be like against each other, that we have to be picking each other apart. Like this is like the normal thing to do. But I think there's just this beautiful divine feminine awakening that is happening. And I just cannot wait to see where it goes, and it just in women coming together. I really do believe that it is a powerful thing. Yeah. It's a powerful thing. Yeah.
It is completely and totally remarkable. So Tracy says it allows us to love our whole selves and to excel at being us. And Rita says women supporting and uplifting other women, and with a huge exclamation mark. And like, that is just so important. And so, hey, Kelly, glad that you were actually able to join us. So does anybody have any questions for Ashley before we actually move into anything else? Obviously there's a delay, so Ashley and I are actually going to keep going. But if you have a question, or if you guys have any more comments, we love the comments. This is amazing.
Yeah.
And I love it when we actually have those discussions when we're actually on live. That gives that unique perspective and gives us a different way of where the conversation is going to go.
Yeah. And the communal vibe, which we're talking about, which is awesome.
And it's amazing. And I really love this. And so, so for those of you who are just hopping on, normally we do this at 7 p.m. Eastern, but since Ashley is in Israel, we thought that she didn't want to be up at what would it be, 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 a.m.? Yeah, so she really didn't want to have to
be an interesting conversation.
So I'm really thankful that we're actually doing that this afternoon. So is there anything else, Ashley, that you wanted to be able to talk about that we haven't talked about?
Yeah, so I wanted to just share a really short little process that can be done. Obviously it depends on how long you write for, or, everyone is different, but I mean, it can really take just as little as like 5 or 10 minutes. When you feel fear coming up, and it's something that I've shared with those that I've worked with and in my community. And I'm actually, I'll be talking about it in a little bit, but I'm actually going to be doing a 5-day Happy Soul experiment around turning fear into fuel and really deep diving into it, starting on Thursday. But I just want to share this, really quick process that you can take yourself through in order to transmute that fear into fuel, and also to, okay. So So it starts with 4 questions. And this is after you have decided that it's not something you feel the resistance. It's not something that's out of alignment. You realize that it's fear that is, stopping you. So you acknowledge the fear. Thank you, fear, for pointing me in this direction. And ask yourself, what am I afraid of? What is this fear? Where is this fear coming from? So what am I afraid of? And where is this fear coming from? These are the first 2 questions. And then the third question is, what will happen if I let this fear stop me from moving forward? What are the consequences? What is going to happen? What am I missing out on? And then the last question is, what would happen if I don't let this fear stop me from moving forward? So what are you going to receive? Where are you going to go? What is going to happen if you follow through with this idea, if you follow through with this inspiration or this choice or this move or, whatever it is? And so if that, taking that, the answer to question number 4, if you're feeling super lit up by, what this fear is, keeping you from, let's say, okay, this fear is a sign illuminating my path, and I am going to use it now to fuel me where I need to go. So I want you to take your answers to question number 1, what am I afraid of? Write 3 to 5 sentences around the fear and the limiting thoughts, the BS stories, as I like to call them, that are coming up. And then the next step is to flip each sentence. And, I talked about this a little bit before, but here's my personal example. I'll use the same story that I told earlier. So it was, this fear of rejection. And, it was this origin story of where the fear of rejection came from that wanted to be shared. And so the fear that was coming up was, if I share this story, I'm going to lose friends. So I flipped that sentence to, if I share this story, I'm going to receive love and compassion. And I just used that and other affirmations around sharing this story to fuel me forward, to keep me going so that I could share, so that I could, take this really giant leap for myself. And just received so many beautiful things from being, just from sharing one story. And so I really encourage you, if you have something right now in this moment that you are keeping yourself from moving forward with, go ahead and do this process. And, you can share in the comments or, let us know how you go. Because the other thing that I realized from sharing this story, and this was another kind of divine download that I got right after I shared this story, it's called story alchemy. And the idea around it, just a little short thing around it, is that when we have these stories that are based in pain or trauma that we have experienced, when we hold them inside, it's this stored energy that continues to cause us pain. And when we share that story, we transmute that energy and we release that energy into love, into compassion for ourselves, into gratitude. And we also give other people permission to do the same thing for themselves. So we're not only healing ourselves, but by healing yourself, you're giving someone else permission to do the same. And, to me, this idea of story alchemy is as women, or even really just as, humanity in general, if we were all sharing these stories with one another and helping each other, alchemize this painful energy into energy of love and compassion. I mean, just imagine what could happen in the world. Oh my gosh. It blows my mind just to think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely so incredible. So Nikki says, Ashley, your vibes are great. And then she said, not a question, just a comment. And Nikki says that she's scribbling notes madly. So
perfect.
The replay will definitely be here. So you'll have access to being able to come back and listen to it again. And I know that for sure I'm coming back to listen to it again so that I can actually take some notes. And so Nikki says, like dominoes or a drop in a still pond. So exactly, it has all that ripple effects, right?
Yeah.
So it's so important for us to be able to do these things. Yeah. So how do people work with you? So like, how can people connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a free Facebook community. It's called the Happy Soul Lab community. It's on Facebook. So I would love for you to come and join. That is the place where you can find all of the free content that I'm sharing. And then absolutely, you can PM me to find out how we can work together. I've got 2 different offers of services right now that are going on. So one of them is Sovereign Soul Expression. And this is like a minimum of 3 months working together, up to a year of working together. We get on calls each week. We have 1 week a month is for integration. And we go through the explore, experiment, express process that I shared about. And it's really to take you into just living in your soul's expression and feeling just joyful and lit up about life and feeling on a path of purpose, whatever that looks like for you. And also just to enjoy life, right? Like to really cultivate this happy soul. And then the other pathway to work with me is my intuitive idea incubator. And this is a space that I create for you to come into with, if you've got one big, beautiful idea, or some people really have quite a few different ideas and are confused which direction to go. So this is one of my superpowers, is, facilitating a space really to just, to explore and experiment. And so I bring you into the incubator. We work on it like we do a 2-hour intensive together, and then it follows with 8 weeks of messaging support to really help you get into gear, get into motion, and take action on your idea and really bring it from, spark of idea to reality. And so these are the two offers that I currently have going on. You can absolutely PM me to ask me, for more information. I know Rollie is putting all of my social links on there. The website is under construction, so that is going to be coming soon, which I'm really excited about, to get the blog going and things like that. Those are the two ways. And actually, I just mentioned it a little bit, but on Thursday, I'm going to be starting a 5-day Happy Soul experiment, and it's going to be using this process of turning fear into fuel. So you're basically going to be getting like free coaching from me for those 5 days. We're going to do 2 days on, 1 day for integration, and then 2 days on again. And it's going to take place in the Happy Soul Lab community, which I'll definitely, Rollie and I talked about it beforehand, and I will be putting a link to the Facebook group so you can come and join me. And it's going to be super fun. I think I might do some prizes. And if you are interested in any of these offers, you can absolutely message me to get on a free 30-minute creativity call, and we can discuss, and I can give you support wherever you're needing it right now.
That's amazing. And so Yay. Nikki says, that's me, 1,000 ideas.
Yeah, it's exciting to like have them all, but then it's like, okay, well, what do I do? Where do I go? And then you either end up, I mean, this is what has happened to me in the past and sometimes still does, is like I'll work a little bit on one, a little bit on this one, a little bit on this one. And like they're all sort of creeping forward, but none of them are really propelling. And so that is where I come in, and that's what we do together, is we really propel you into action.
That is awesome. Yeah. So this has been amazing. Ashley, I've really enjoyed being able to chat with you, and I did before as well, but being able to chat with you with others, this has been amazing. So you and I have actually, our 30-minute call, when we were actually chatting privately, I'm pretty sure that we were like over an hour.
Yeah, I went way over an hour.
Just the two of us just chatting back and forth. Yeah. So just amazing. So for any of you who are inspiring women, and I know that sometimes we don't think that we're inspiring, but we really are. But if you have a topic that you actually want to be able to share, then send me a message or go to the website, and I'll actually put the link in where you can actually go ahead and make an application to actually be part of the Monday Whispers chat. And Ashley, if at any point you would like to be able to come back on, then please feel free to jump in. We would love to have you back. At least I know that I would love to have you back. It's been amazing at being able to.
Thank you so much for having me.
So that is, so there's a couple more comments. So Nikki says prizes with, I'm assuming that it's supposed to be an excited. I'm really not good with those little short form things. So I'm pretty sure that it's supposed to signify that it's exciting. And thank you. So Rita says, thank you so much for sharing your time with us. And I know there was another comment and I can't find it. It won't let me go in there. So I know that Nikki had commented something else, but oh, there it is. Nope, it's gone. Tracy says, thank you. There, Nikki. I knew Nikki had typed something else and I couldn't find it. So it says, yay, thank you for chatting with us. Technology is wonderful when it actually does what we want it to do.
Yes.
It doesn't always do what we want it to do.
No.
And so Tracy says, thank you, Ashley. And she says, thank you, Rollie. So thank you so much, all of you, for joining us. And for those of you catching the replay, #replay to let us know that you are on, and Ashley or I will be more than happy to come back and continue on with this discussion. And again, thanks so much. And everybody have a great day. And I think that you're leading into bedtime. So
I don't know how I'm gonna go to sleep right now. I'm like buzzing. Thank you so much for having me on, Rollie. This has been so much fun.
So it was been great. And like I said, if at any point you would like to jump back in, then just go through and pick another date, and we'll obviously adjust the time.
Yeah. Awesome. So, thank you so much for doing this.
But it's not 2 a.m. But otherwise it's typically 7 p.m. So for anybody who is joining our Monday Whispers chat next week, then we will be back at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and look forward to sharing our next guest. So
Yay.
thanks again, Ashley, and Ashley will add the links into the comment, and so that we can join into her group, as well as into this 5-day program. If you guys are interested in joining that, I know that I'm joining, so I'm signing up.
Yay, awesome. Oh my gosh, can't wait.
So looking forward to this, and I will talk soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye, everybody. And apparently I can't find the right button. So that we can end this.
#technology.